My phone has Jack on it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the September 13th special meeting. Roll call, please.
Campbell? Here. Schoenberg? Here. Walter?
Here.
Hitchcock absent. Schulte?
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Please go for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there an approval for the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Do we have any public comment? I am seeing none. So on to new business. First up, special event permit, shut down Green River for Farmers Field Day, September 27th to 29th.
Josh, I know you spent a lot of time on this. Never wanted it canceled at all. That wasn't the purpose.
Yeah, I apologize for not being at the last meeting, just I've had lots of stuff going on,
Yeah,
so.
life happens.
So I know that there was concerns, and then I wish I was there to address them. I just assumed, like I said, the previous meetings and the DDA meetings and stuff, we've addressed, all the concerns that I was hearing to make sure that we were safe and we were gonna make sure that things were done properly, so.
I'm wondering if, because some of the residents of the village have some concerns, maybe, because I know you start planning, what, 6 months in advance?
Usually about a year, because I started
Okay,
planning
well,
right after the last one.
But you
because
really,
Yesterday was like the trial, last year was like the trial of it to see how it was gonna work, and it was a huge success, so
yeah,
that's why I was like, well, let's just do it again this year
but
too.
you're putting down like 6 months, so maybe if some of the people that have concerns about the roads that are getting shut down
Yeah,
could maybe come to your meetings or
Yeah.
even the village's meetings and say, here's my concerns. Would this work instead? I'm sure you would be open to hearing it.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and obviously we wanna make sure that everyone's, concerns are heard and also addressed, because, it's, we don't want anything bad to happen, obviously.
Correct.
But, I mean, you can only plan, at the end of the day, that's why we went to just the actual one block. We do open up to this, to Clark on Sunday, but honestly, there's not much traffic in Weberville on Sunday anyway, so it's usually not that big of a deal to do that, but by obviously using the traffic light, that does create good things. I think last year, I don't know if Ryan was here or if it was who did it, but I remember they triggered the light, so the light would actually be, I don't know who did it, but yeah. Because I think they ended up making it flashing red on all sides just to make so it wasn't cycling through. And I don't know, I think maybe the cops may have even done that.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Green County Sheriff can do that.
Yeah, which that helped too, because then that.
My only concern, just because of the field that I'm in, is we don't own the proper barricades to do the shutdown. So my only recommendation was get Spartan barricading or give them a break to set up the detour and shut the roads down. To shut down a road like that, you gotta have class 3 barricades. Those are roughly 6 feet long. They got 3 rails on them. They have to have, and it's kind of weird in the manual on uniform traffic control devices, they talk about the reflective tape that has to be on them. To do a nighttime shutdown, you have to have lights, they have to have flashing strobe lights on them. And then for the detour, not only for semi-trucks, but also for emergency response vehicles, has to be clearly posted, and we don't own signage to do that. So that was my only concern. That was, give them a break, Spartan barricading. We'd send them a map where we want to shut down our proposed detour. Their traffic engineer handles it.
Okay.
That takes pretty much takes all the liability off of us, puts it on them because they're the company that put the signage out. I did have an email conversation with Scott about it, and he was in agreement that since there is, proper protocol that is supposed to be followed before shutdowns and detours, he did recommend that you go that route. That way it takes it off the village.
Right.
So you said you already sent the,
I did not. I was waiting
Gotcha.
for this meeting, you know, because I'd be more than happy to help you on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, as you mentioned, that's your department, that's not my department. I'm not a traffic
Right.
person, I'm not, I don't, departments of works person.
I just, if one thing happens, I can remember last year, Greg and I just had the conversation, you know, half hour ago. He got a bunch of phone calls on his city-owned phone last year, and I can remember the previous DPW supervisor coming in and playing all the voicemails that were on his city phone as well about that shutdown, because nobody could see the barricades at night. So I'm not sure why he didn't speak up about the uniform traffic control that you're supposed to follow.
Yeah.
But, you know.
what detour are you gonna propose, what route?
I would propose they can put up, no trucks past this point, Elm Road to Greed to Gramer for the semis. Because like Brad mentioned it in the meeting, for semi trucks to make the turn off of Weberville Road onto Pardee Road, it's just far too tight.
Right.
So that's the widest area for the semi trucks. And they
They
can
will
put
try,
up,
they will try to come down Chestnut and Walnut again.
They will
because
try
they
it.
Did last year.
they'll try it. And that is a note that we can give to the traffic control company to put up extra signs, no trucks, no trucks, no trucks.
Mhm.
You know, now obviously you put up all signs in the world, people are still gonna do what they want.
They don't.
You know, I mean, perfect example out on 52. But we can put notes, you know, if we do contract with a company, put notes on that. And like I said, we don't own the signs. I hate to see something happen and, you know, all of a sudden it's not good. So, like I said, those class 3 barricades are the biggest thing for road closure. I recommend anybody, and I was talking to Jessica about it, I'm gonna make a sheet with useful websites. That way council can, you know, look at all these different things. Federal government and then Michigan copies exactly, almost to the T, on the manual of uniform traffic control devices. It's the most boring thing ever. They no longer print a hard copy of it because they're always changing it. So it's only available in PDF. I think last night I looked at it, it was over 700 pages. So it's like, I'm not printing it. But there's a whole section in there dedicated to road closures and detours. Huge one is for the emergency response vehicles.
Mhm.
We're gonna have a road closure overnight. We just notify, you know, fire hall, I think the main hall, Livingston,
Yep, 61.
notify them. They let their people know, hey, there's a detour in Weberville, follow it. So,
Josh, are you on board with that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, detour down Elm, we ran into actually the last few years was, EM County basically didn't want that, so they essentially denied it.
yeah, see, that's,
Yeah, and they didn't want it because they wanted it to be, posted out at 52, and they wanted them to go down Hall Mason Road and basically the big long block around for truck traffic, and of course, when we call them down, they're like, no,
right.
like, we're not
See,
doing
so-
that, so. But I mean, again, that's not my department, so I
Right.
mean, it's one of those things that, obviously, safety, yeah, we gotta make sure that we're adhering to that. That's why, you know, I mean, I guess in the future, we probably should obviously fill out the event permit, you know,
Yeah.
months upon months, and, because I never knew that. I mean, we've never had an issue thus far, and I mean, we've been shutting down Red River now for, honestly, like, 6 years or something like that. It's been quite a while, maybe longer, so.
The traffic control is just, it's giant. The liability on it alone is just,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't have that signage, I mean, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we're in trouble regardless, but, I mean, if anyone gets hurt, and when there's an event, I mean, even with the fire department doing their event, I mean, someone gets hit by a car, walk across the street, they'll just go liable for it, so. I mean, but yeah, mitigating liability is obviously you know, as much as we can, that would be obviously preferred. So, and then, I mean, maybe for, we're debating, maybe even for next year, maybe we'll utilize the fourth building if it's done a little bit more, so now I don't have to worry about rain and everything else.
Well, that's my question. Why is it we have to close Grand River down? Why can't we have it over there at Summit? Right along, isn't it Summit that runs along the Ford building? Why can't you erect your tent there?
Because that's all residential, and it's proximity to the bar, and that's all residential, so.
Okay, well, how about right out here?
Same thing over here.
Because of this house right here?
That house, but you have, what we found last year, which was pretty surprising, and I was actually shocked by it, which was with the music downtown, using the buildings as basic acoustic sound, it stayed downtown.
No, it did not,
So,
because you heard it crystal clear up at my house.
I mean, it'll still
backyard,
go,
front yard.
it'll still go up and down obviously the road a little bit, but it's a lot more. I mean, I can tell you from living in Dansville, when I was living there, you could hear the band like it was in my backyard, and I was like almost, 3/4 mile away.
Yeah,
I mean, part of the reason too is obviously the Grand River thing has always been because we're the last municipality that owns Grand River. And I know other municipalities that would die to be able to do that, be able to shut down because it's such a big thoroughfare. So it stops people that normally blink an eye when they go through Weberville, they have to stop. And then that makes them usually, I mean, last year I couldn't count how many people came up to me and like, hey, we live in Fowlerville, we were coming back from Okemos, and what, we didn't even know this was going on, and they hung out and stayed, and, and it's funny, I still see one of those couples still go to Mitchell's and Noah's, which they before just blinked, so.
okay, that's great, but my concern is especially the truck traffic. The cars can get around town. It's the semis.
Yeah.
And there were several instances last year with semis coming down Chestnut. One almost hit the maple tree right at the corner and almost took out the telephone pole. And it cost us money to go buy soil and grass seed
Last
to
year,
repair the ground.
right, and last year we actually did have signs out of 52 that told people that no truck traffic downtown.
Yeah, they didn't provide
Right,
it.
so I mean, I can't mitigate that, I mean, I wish I could, but, I mean, trucks are gonna go where trucks wanna go, and unfortunately, the majority of truck drivers now, I'm not gonna say majority, but there's a big part, especially the Aldi drivers, that, don't understand, English. So, obviously, it doesn't help, they don't really care about signs. They ignore that completely. But, I mean, like I said, I do understand the concerns and, I mean, we can try to mitigate stuff as much as possible.
Well, I think the big takeaway is, there were a lot of complaints and some issues last year. This is significantly scaled back from what we did last year, and I think it's safe to say that as the years go on, we'd like to continue these events, and we'll just have to adjust and adapt. And every year, we're gonna learn something about how we can do this better. So I think for the sake of this event and this year, being that the event's only in 2 weeks, we don't wanna cancel it. It's good for the community. Say we improve it as is. We hope for the best. And I'd appreciate it if Josh and Ryan can work together on getting the proper signage, and we learn what we can, and maybe next year this is exactly what we do because it's the best we can come up with, or we come up with something else.
But I think it's prudent to say too that obviously the live and to anyone that's listening too is obviously if they have complaints or they have concerns or issues, the best thing to do is either obviously write it to the village or come to the meeting and talk about it. Like for Phil, come to the DEA meeting and discuss it too. But obviously, I heard nothing but positive last time. I had a couple complaints from people that were inconvenienced bigger, and it takes a lot of work.
So that said, I recommend that we approve the special event permit for the WDDA and the Farmers Field Day event, September 27th through the 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Stanfield,
Yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Sarah, Gigi, Walter,
No,
Jack absent, and Shelby.
Yes. Look forward to the festivities in a couple weeks. So item number 2 is another special event permit. This is for the homecoming parade on October 11th. This is being put on by the Weberville Student Council. Looks like a lineup on North Summit Street, Cherry, and for the elementary school. It's on October 11th. It looks like setup begins at 4:15 p.m. Event ends at 6. It should be out of here by 7. Any questions or comments on the special event permit for the homecoming parade?
That one does look good because that's considered a temporary closure.
Yep.
So we have no special restrictions on that, so.
Recommend we approve the special event permit for the Weberville Student Council and the homecoming parade on October 11th.
So,
Second.
Roll call?
Stanfield,
yes.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Walter,
yes.
Jack absent, Shelby.
Yes. Okay, that concludes new business. There's no other comments, questions. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 2:49 PM.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you for coming.